Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with Musk and Big Balls.
Big balls.
Big balls.
Big Balls, who work for Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE.
In the one case of the Big Balls kid, a literal teenager.
Big Balls online, Big Balls here that Katie's talking about.
A 19-year-old that goes by the username Big Balls.
So that would be one way that we could refer to him.
Young computer whizzes, the aforementioned Big Balls.
Because who among us doesn't feel better about big balls in charge of American air traffic control?
I mean, I'm sorry, but DOGE was worth it just for that, just to get that montage. I mean, just to watch the legacy media literally troll themselves. I mean, seriously, nothing proves just how incapable they are of seeing reality than that. With one member of the legacy media after another, just completely oblivious to how merciless they're being trolled. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious. And by the way, I'm sure most of you heard about the latest from DOGE. I mean, we heard about it at the beginning here. Things are so amazing in terms of the massive amount of savings by DOGE. They're thinking of sending out what they're calling dividend checks to every single taxpayer in America, treating them basically as investors. And we're talking checks of around $5,000 each, which would be strategically brilliant because the tax refunds are coming from the savings of hundreds of billions of dollars already allocated for these absurd woke slush funds and Democrat money laundering operations. So it wouldn't cost us a dime. The money's already been allocated. It's already being, quote, spent, as it were. It never went out, thank God. But it's already being spent. It's already been allocated. So we just send $5,000 per taxpayer as a refund. And that would have a twofold effect. They would remind every single taxpayer of just how corrupt the DC Democrat-infested swamp has become. And at the same time, it would let every taxpayer share in the celebration of having saved so much of their money. So these refund checks would be reminders of just how corrupt the Democrats have been with our money, how corrupt they've been with our money. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And that move alone could consign the Democrats to a permanent political minority. All right, take a look at this latest executive order that was just signed by President Trump hours ago. It's called the Ensuring Accountability for All Agencies Act. And what it does is it gives President Trump direct control over a number of agencies in accordance with Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution, which puts executive power over these agencies exclusively in the hands of the president. So we're talking agencies like the Federal Elections Commission, the Federal Trade Commission, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Federal Communication Commission. Now, the key here is that the order requires all these agencies to submit their regulations to President Trump's budget chief, Russ Vought. Now, we've talked about Russell Vought quite a bit of late. He is one of the architects of Project 2025. He's one of the major authors of the Project 2025 blueprint. And then what Vought is going to do is he's going to report directly to the president as to who in these agencies is failing to comply with his direct orders from the Oval Office. And as Rod Martin is reporting, what makes it even better is that each and every one of these agencies has to have a White House liaison that will serve as the president's eyes and ears inside every single one of these agencies. So if you remember back during Trump's first term, he would sign all these executive orders, but what would these rogue agencies do? They'd ignore them. They'd completely ignore them. There was no oversight structure to guarantee that Trump's executive orders were being implemented. And we saw this particularly with USAID just now. Just literally within the last couple of weeks, where they blatantly and egregiously ignored Trump's executive order as well as senatorial oversight. And this has been one of DOGE's main jobs, right? This is what Elon's been talking about in the interview with Hannity, is that they've been going in And as part of their audits of all these agencies, they have been looking to see if they've been complying with President Trump's executive orders. And of course, virtually every single agency has not. And they were caught ignoring things like immediate freezes on foreign aid. And what's so amazing, and again, this is why the woke libs of the New York Times are saying they've never seen anything like this before. What's so amazing is now with DOGE and with these oversight officials being implemented in every single one of these agencies, officials who have refused to comply with the executive orders are getting caught red-handed, and boom, they're fired immediately, right on the spot. And this is who the Democrat administrative state, this is how the Democrat administrative state has been able to function and grow all these years without any executive and congressional oversight. This is how they got turned into a slush fund and a money laundering agency for Democrat politicians and special interests. They just ignore executive power and they do whatever they want. They treat government as if it's theirs. They treat DC as if it's theirs. It belongs to them, not you. And what this new executive order is doing, along with the DOGE audits, is they're together coming in and completely purging these agencies of all the parties and participants and procedures that perpetuate this blatant corruption. And again, just click the link in the description below and you can get all these articles and tweets firsthand emailed to you. So you have all this data at the tip of your fingers. It's a brand new service that we're providing for you on this channel. We really we consider it a privilege to send you all this data for free, and then you can share it out and email it out to friends and family and the like, especially those who still remain skeptical of the golden age. And to make things even worse for the Democrat deep state, a federal judge just ruled that President Trump, yes, can indeed continue the mass firings of federal workers at an unprecedented level. Unions sued last week to block the administration from firing federal workers and granting buyouts to employees who quit voluntarily. I know a lot of you have been very frustrated with these activist judges, unelected judges. I might add, trying to hamper Trump's efforts at purging DC of these corrupt bureaucrats. But look, now a federal judge has overturned all such activist efforts at ending the purge. And so federal workers continue to get fired at a record pace. And this new executive order is only going to exacerbate that purge. It's only going to exacerbate. Gang, they can't stop the inevitable. Even when this ultimately goes to the Supreme Court, that's already been signaled, we're going to at least have a 5-vote majority that says the executive agencies fall under the power and decision-making of the executive branch. Bottom line, the people vote in the executive. The one person in government that everyone votes on is the president. They vote him in, and then he exercises the people's will through his various appointees in the under and through the agencies that come under the authority of the executive branch. And there is nothing these activist judges can stop him from ultimately doing that. But what if all of this purging that he's engaged in, what if it ends up reaching the ultimate pinnacle? Could it possibly be the case that the Internal Revenue Service, the infamous IRS itself, is about to be totally and completely purged? You're not going to believe the answer. Is going to absolutely blow your mind.
Hey there, Dr. Steve here, and I got a question for you. What if you could go back in time and get in on the Bitcoin era when it was still just under $1? Or buy a prime real estate before the market exploded, say, in Manhattan? Or invest in a company like Tesla before the whole world caught on? Well, that's exactly where we are right now. The parallel economy is exploding like never before. New financial opportunities are opening up, and those who see the shift and take action early are the ones who will prosper the most. That's why I'm hosting a live 90-minute event on February 27th called the America's Golden Age Summit. Now, I'll be joined by some amazing expert guests who are going to show you how to position yourself for massive success in this new era. But even better, what exactly to do in this new era. It's a truly one-of-a-kind, game-changing event. Click the link, grab your spot, and be a part of America's Golden Age Summit. Do not miss this chance to get ahead. I can't wait to see you there.
For far too long, the IRS has had no problem peering into the books of every American, rich or poor, middle-income American. It didn't matter. They love doing this stuff. But it's time for them to be held accountable, to make sure that everything that they're paying for is fully accounted for. I think that's a wonderful thing. And let's be very clear to the Democrats who are all concerned about the bureaucratic state. Elon Musk is going over to the Department of Defense as well. President Trump has a mission, and that is to make sure that our government is efficient.
The auditors are being audited. Yesterday's 1 month mark of the Trumpocalypse was also marked by the announcement that DOGE was firing 6,000 IRS agents. It was being reported by the New York Times that a, quote, tearful executive at the U.S. Internal Revenue Service, I didn't know they cried, told staffers on Thursday that about 6,000 employees would be fired in a move that would eliminate roughly 6% of the agency's workforce. This is obviously just the beginning of the purge of the IRS. Again, all of this is so beautifully ironic. The very agency that's whining and complaining about being audited is the very one responsible for auditing American citizens. But the firing of 6,000 IRS agents is just the tip of the iceberg. President Trump has confirmed that it is indeed his goal, like with the Department of Education, to eliminate the IRS altogether. And this is where the External Revenue Service comes in, right? The External Revenue Service. Trump looks like he wants to go back to the tariff standard of government revenue as opposed to the income tax standard. Remember, if you don't, a lot of you may not know this, but originally the government was constitutionally barred from taxing citizens directly. Did you know that? All of our founding fathers were absolutely adamant and constitutionally enshrined the principle that our federal government should not be allowed to tax its citizens directly. We actually had to pass a constitutional amendment, the 16th Amendment, to modify the Constitution to allow the government to tax our income. It was a concept that was a complete anathema to our original framers. Our founding fathers were all, to the man, tariff proponents. And tariffs historically had two functions. Tariffs raised revenue for the government, and tariffs protected certain American industries. This goes all the way back to George Washington. Washington used tariffs to raise revenue for the government and protect American industries. Tariffs were the primary way our government was funded for a century and a half. Tariffs and the selling of land, which became the selling of land really, as I understand, became the primary means of revenue during the 19th century's westward expansion. And Trump wants to bring that back as well. He wants to sell off tons of federal land. But again, we actually needed a constitutional amendment, the 16th Amendment, for government to be able to institute an income tax. So this is exactly what President Trump wants to reverse, to rectify. His Commerce Secretary is now making it clear that Trump wants to go back to the time when the federal government made its money on tariffing other countries' exports into the United States and eliminate the IRS and income taxes entirely. This is unbelievable. And it's precisely, again, it's basically just returning to how our government functioned until 1913, the passage of the 16th Amendment, the creation of the Fed. Tariffs have always been the lifeblood of the federal government. And the very fact that it seems like our history classes in school have done everything they possibly, and our legacy media for that matter, have done everything possible, everything they possibly can to infuse a kind of amnesia, collective amnesia, and make us forget that, I think speaks volumes. And if Trump has his way, we are going to truly make America great again by going back to that external revenue system. Make other nations who are profiting off of our massive consumer base make those other nations have to pay a fee in order for to have the privilege of participating in that extraordinary consumer experience. It's just another day in America's new golden age. Every single day, billions of waste, fraud, and abuse are being identified and stopped every single day. Tens of thousands of federal workers are being permanently let go every single day. Tens of thousands of new Republican voters are being registered across the country every single day. Trump's poll numbers keep going up as the Democrats' poll numbers keep going down. Every single day, we get things like dividend checks from all the savings possibly being poised to be sent out to every single taxpayer. Every single day, the southern border is secured with illegal crossings down 95%. Every single day, the mass deportation numbers increase by the thousands. Every single day, Trump's cabinet nominees, every single one of them have now officially been confirmed. Every single day, the administrative state is being dismantled at breathtaking speed. Every single day, the Democrats and the legacy media are literally being left shell-shocked. Every single day. And we still have 3 years and 11 months to go.